Good evening, folks, and Happy New Year, January 1st, 2020. So I've officially been doing these reviews for a year now. The first one was January 1st last year. The one I did last year was a brew from Yellowbelly Brewery here in Newfoundland, and I have another Yellowbelly today. And I have my niece goddaughter help me, Michelle. Are you a beer drinker at all, or?
Yeah, I kind of like the occasional beer sometimes. I'm usually into like blondes and sour beers, the occasional stout.
Okay, well, the beer we have today, I'll read a bit about it. It's from Yellowbelly Brewery, and for people that aren't aware, Yellowbelly is a brewery in St. John's, Newfoundland, actually on George Street. It's a brew pub. They've been around, I think, for about 10 years. It might be a little bit off there. The name Yellowbelly, if you're like me, you think of Yellowbelly, you think of a coward. However, the name has nothing to do with that. What it was, in County Wexford, there was a hurling match against the local team and a team somewhere from England, I believe. And the king was watching, and to distinguish themselves, the Wexford boys, they actually put a yellow sash around their bellies. And at the end of the game, the king said something along the lines of, those yellow bellies did really good, or something along that way. So I guess the boys from Wexford, they actually continued to wear that. And I guess when they came to Newfoundland in 1750, 1800s, the boys from Wexford, to distinguish themselves, they'd hang out down on the corner where the brewery is today, and they would wear the yellow sash. So that's how the name Yellowbelly. And the beer we have from today is Come From Away, and Come From Away is a term that Newfoundlanders use to describe people that are from Newfoundland. We call them CFAs, or Comes From Away. And it's also the name, unless you've been living on a rock for a while, if you're in North America anyways, you probably heard I want to say opera, the Broadway show Come From Away, which is based upon 9/11, the response that the town of Gander had to 9/11. And people aren't familiar, basically at 9/11 all the planes were landed, everybody knows that. And Gander is a town in central Newfoundland. I think population is a couple of thousand people, and that's about it. And it used, back in the heyday, like the early days of aviation, that was the middle point for all flights going from North America to Europe. They would have to stop in Gander and refuel, so it was pretty popular back then. So the airport is still a big airport for the size of the town. And at 9/11, basically they had several dozen aircraft landed, like big aircraft. So the population of the town actually doubled for those few days. And how they responded, basically the town got together and they made sure everybody had lodgings, food, and everything else. And as a result of that, fast forward 15 years later, there is now a Broadway play, Come From Away. So there you go. And this beer was actually done by Yellowbelly in cooperation with a brewery out of Brooklyn, I want to say, somewhere in that area. And my understanding, for every beer, there's actually a portion of the beer, of the funds, goes towards I think it's called Tuesday's Child, and it's a foundation for helping people deal with different types of trauma. I don't know a lot about it, but that's the gist that I got. So with that being said, I'll give our glasses a cold water rinse. We'll crack this baby open. See how she tastes. Now, as Michelle said, she likes her sour beers and stuff like that, so I don't think pale ales are normally your go-to beer. But she's a Connor, so good chance she'll drink it.
Yeah, exactly. Just put it in front of me and I'll chug it down.
Many of us are like that. And that, for anybody curious about the glasses, I've used these glasses once or twice before. The glasses are called TQ, or I could be pronouncing wrong. It's TEKU. And basically, these are supposed to be the ultimate beer tasting glasses. Now, not necessarily beer drinking. This is, you know how they have a specific glass for wine tasting? Well, this is the beer version. And the theory is the stem, they have a nice stem there. And Belgian beers actually have a stem as well, Belgian beer glasses. And the reason for that is, if you're holding up here, the heat from your hand will warm the beer.
Yeah.
And they say it has a wide base, and has to do with the aroma and everything. And then it narrows up a bit, and the narrowness is basically to show off the carbonization in the beer. And then it narrows in again up at the lip, and that's basically to trap the head in. And when you trap the head in, you're trapping the aroma. And then the lip itself goes out a little bit, and they say the reason for that is that when you're drinking the beer, your bottom lip will actually rest comfortably on it.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Now, like I said, it's a pretty small glass, so it's not necessarily a beer drinking glass, but it's a beer tasting glass. And they say from optimum performance, you should fill about a third way.
Okay. I'll let you do it, because better at this than me. I make a mess.
And Michelle's going to give her rating out of 5, and I'll explain how my rating system works, so we're on the same page. Michelle's visiting from New Brunswick, so anybody not from Canada, I'm in Newfoundland, island in the Atlantic, and she's from New Brunswick, a couple hours away on the flight.
It's a nice smell.
Yeah, so first thing you do, aroma, and if you cup your hand over, you can actually get the smell a little bit more. You're concentrating more.
Yeah.
So the first thing I get, oh, she's anxious to taste it. What's the first thing you smell? Anything particular?
Kind of fruity, I think.
Yeah, it's fruity for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it's hoppy. And pale ales in general are known to be a little bit hoppy. If you taste like an IPA, IPAs are really hoppy. This is almost a little bit less than IPA. Okay. So I read something recently. They said a pale ale was the bridge between a light lager and a dark stout, so somewhere in the middle. But it's hoppy, and right away I can smell the hops. All right, so next thing we do a taste. Definitely hoppy.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of strong, I think. Well, for me, anyways.
Yeah. The first thing I taste is the hops. And I don't mind IPAs, but it's definitely not my go-to beer.
I don't mind it.
It's not bad,
I would
but
drink it.
oh yeah. So.
2 glasses.
All right. So we need to give it a rating. And just go with my ratings. It's out of 5. 1 being what I call a drain port. Don't like it, can't finish it. It's going down the sink. Doesn't happen very often. A 2 being, I'm not a big fan, but I'll finish it because I don't want to waste a beer. A 3 being a good beer. A 4 being a very good beer. And a 5 being the best beer you ever tasted. So I'll let you give your rating first, what you think.
Just another taste. I would give it a 3.
That's
Something
pretty
I
low.
would, yeah. I would drink it a few other times. Yeah.
So Michelle's giving it a 3, and I'm thinking about the same. It's like I said, I'm not a big fan of hoppy beers, and it's definitely hoppy, but I don't want that to influence my rating too much. Obviously, it's going to have a little bit of influence as it's a personal preference. There's no science behind this whatsoever. Just want to take another, see if I'm going to, between 3, 3.5 for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Michelle. I think 3.0. Basically, it's an okay beer. It's a good beer. I wouldn't hesitate to have another or 2 or 3,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think it's something I'd go out of my way for. It's like,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, it's not a beer where I'm going, oh my God, I can't wait to have another.
Yeah.
There you go.
I agree.
I think we got a family consensus here, 3.0. So that's our 2020 first review. Hopefully you can join me for the next one. Until then, until next beer, as always, enjoy responsibly. Cheers.
Chin chin.
And that's my brother, her father. He's going to give it a quick taste out of the bottle.
Oh, that's fruity.
So, Jerry, what do you think?
That's fruity. I like it.
What would
No,
you
no,
give it?
3. Like I said, I'm not going to waste a beer because I'm a Newfoundlander, but that's nice. I like it.
There you go. 3s all around.
Cheers and
folks.
bon année.
Cheers.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Slancha.
Actually, it's not bad.